Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Let's get dangerous.
And here we are once again for another episode of Comic Book Spectrum. We got the elder statesman in the house. We got the Eric S. Hawkins. We got me. And sadly enough, we have to say that, well, to be honest, Van Helsing ended up calling Elaine. Elaine is out there hunting lycanthropes like she always wanted.
Oh no!
It's like, oh yeah, it's more like, oh yeah, for her. She's like, hell yeah, let's go. But
got
she
my,
should be back next week. She should be back
okay.
next week and everything.
I got my Captain Hockland Crusader mug.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Man, he really needs to change that to Captain Hawkins.
Well, I've also got, equal time here. I've also got my Zombie for World of Oz mug. So you're in my thoughts all the time, you guys. I just need an Amazonia mug now.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which, there is one.
Really?
There actually is one. And you could get it. And you could get it at our merch store.
Okay.
I do have it on my merch store. I mean,
okay.
it's nothing fancy. It's nothing really fancy or anything. It's just a nice little coffee mug.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there is
one.
a mug. I mean, I just don't really promote it all that much because, again, we don't have too many people going to our merch store.
True. You should. Now, is it your company's merch store?
Yes, through Teespring.
Teespring, okay. But also, you should pretend to drink stuff like we do on the show, and just so you can hold it up and promote it.
No, I wish
I do it on TV shows all the time.
Doing it. I should be doing that because somebody, you never know who's going to be like, "Where'd you get that wonderful mug?" I don't know. It's just been here for a while, but
I think a little banner down. Is it Teespring?
Yeah. There you go.
So we have that. It's like a lot of the t-shirts and stuff that I wore, like the Amazonia t-shirts and stuff, they're out there on the Teespring store. The face mask that I wear out in public, that's there. Different stuff. I mean, we even got fanny packs out there. But like I said, we're not as popular enough to constantly be like, hey, go to our Teespring, go over here, go over there. We're not that popular enough. So I have it there for a reason.
These kind of things, I'm just fortunate enough to be on the list of people that get stickers. So it's not a professionally made cup, but I find things that they'll fit on, and I really like the graphics that he did for those stickers there. Zombie for World of Oz, love those.
Well,
but
thank you.
The Zwo is the whole picture of what it's all about, and
that is like the biggest one I've made too. I mean, it's
yeah.
Tinkerbell's over there. They're all in sleeves. My shipping boxes arrive. I'm shipping this weekend.
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
I am so excited for that. Here's more stickers. You know, they got the Zombieful Adventure logo.
Oh, cool. So I should put that on the other side of my
Yeah.
Zwo cup. Yeah.
And I think this is all. Oh, this is magnets too. So I got the Zwo as a magnet as well.
Okay.
So magnets I throw up on the fridge downstairs, and Jennifer's like, "Get those off! I don't want magnets on my fridge. We don't have no kids." I need to make some bigger ones of these. That's a Song for World of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is that I have to wait into this upcoming winter.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, I did some little chibi stickers, but I don't know if one or two of them have been on a campaign, but I just kind of like the Cowardly Lion as a chibi.
Oh.
Am I out? I might be out of scarecrows.
Yeah, I just gotta wait until the winter time because I could go Rapper the Rapper.
And I got plenty if you need more, Joe. Minimum order of 36, and I only sold 12 this time, I think. Oh, there's a scarecrow.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the grandkids get all those when it's cold outside. They're going to the parade or something.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
I like stickers. I don't care where I get them from.
Yeah.
But I have used Sticker Mule for a long time. I've used recently I started going with Vinyl Disorder. They had a lot of discounts. Vinyl Disorder.
Oh, okay.
The Wee Man, the little person. He advertises for them. And then the last batch I did was Hub City Slaps.
Okay.
But I mean, 103-inch stickers for $20.
Oh, nice.
No, I was like, whoa. So yeah, I look for the best pricing, and as long as the stickers are good, I don't mind.
I'm amazed at how long they last washing. You know, the cups and stuff. They stay. I think the first ones that I put on, they were Zombieful Worlds. They finally deteriorated enough I had to take them off. But that was from when we started the show, so that was a couple of years before they got. Yeah. You know.
And those were probably Sticker Mule ones, because the last ones, the ones from Vinyl Disorder are thicker, and they do say all weather on them when I order them. And I believe the Hub City Slaps is the same way. But I love my stickers.
Well, Eric, it looks like you got a direct message here. And that message is, Nora just said Papa is talking smack about you.
Nora's just she doesn't like magnets downstairs. Yeah. On the refrigerator.
Well, if you started with the grandkids putting their stuff on, you wouldn't have any surface space left.
Yeah, that's true. That's why it should be all my stuff. I mean, I think I want to say Rodman sent a magnet too, and I had that up there too. I'm so excited when they finally come in. I mean, I take one out of the package and put it on the fridge. I'm like, ooh.
Go through the whole house looking for metal things just to put them on.
And we got a special guest that's in the house for this episode. So we have Mr. Hollifield. He is here.
Hey, Dan.
Yep. So we got our usual suspects here. We got our Carl.
Hey, Carl.
And we got Donna.
Hey, Donna.
And Donna's saying, don't forget to like and subscribe as always.
Thank you, Donna.
Yep. Is it me or is it taking a while? Yeah, we took a little bit longer because we was talking about kind of like the theme for today. We was talking about how we're in the game and our video games. Like last week, and we have our thing. We were talking about card games that we were playing, over the holidays. So, things like that. So, here we are. Yep, having computer issues. Be right back. Okay. And that's where we started here, and then everybody's greeting Jennifer.
So,
hi all, and you have several of each type. Yep.
Slap.
Magneto has nothing on you, Eric. we were talking about shows and things that we had watched this week, also games and shows, and one of them that Leah had talked about this. The third and final chapter of the Crisis on Infinite Earths animated series
Right.
dropped this week, and I was interested enough to go ahead and pay. I wanted to see it. So if you get it right at the beginning, you have to pay for it. You have to buy it. There's not even a rental; it's just buy. But it was good enough that I did, and I'm glad I did. It's got the last portrayal of Batman by Kevin Conroy in it.
Oh.
It's not a huge part or anything, but it's just so sweet and appropriate. It's very nice. They also in all three, and they continued it in this one, they use the Charlton comic book characters. They use Blue Beetle, and they use The Question, and Nightshade,
the original Question,
and Captain Atom, the way Ditko wrote them. From the Charlton, because it's multiple Earths and things, and acting the way that he pretty much portrayed them, instead of being quite, not quite as silly as the Blue Beetle that we're used to seeing in the Justice League. That was, the Ted Kord Blue Beetle who's kind of silly. No, these were really, and they were very germane to the plot. And it was, it's very different than the comic book. And the worlds that they're destroying are basically the worlds established, like the Super Friends world goes away.
Right.
So, but they're not really trying to cut things out the way that they were doing for the comic books. So it's a whole different kind of story, but it's very enjoyable. And it's a little bit, there are some spots where it's a little slapdash. We get an infusion of dinosaurs, and the Losers Squad comes in with their, but on the other hand, if you got World War II heroes like the Losers fighting dinosaurs, that's just, what's not to like, It's just kind of an aside.
Kind of par for the course for their history of coming to the unknown.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a good ending, and I need to go back and watch all of them end to end to end, because, there's a big space between. I went back and watched the recaps on the others to be up to snuff with it, because I started it off and I'm like, man, it's been a while since I've seen the others, but and it is so different than the comic book. I'm not sure where we're at here, but that's no fault of I don't think it's the fault of the story. It's just the time in between the releases. It was long, but
was it on Max, or where'd you get it at?
Well, you can see on Max. I think right now everything is 1 and 2 are free on Max if you have Max. I'm pretty sure. But if you want to get that, you have to go to Amazon.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's a whole different bunch of places, but you basically, I tried a couple of different ones, and it's like, hi, you want to watch this? Buy it. $20 instead of a rental or anything. If you wait a little while, if I remember right, when I wanted to get number 2, it was, and on Max, it was every place. It was maybe $9.99 or half price, because it had been out a while. And then they let number 3 out, so the second one I believe is now free on Max. So, but the artwork is kind of flat. I was never impressed with the artwork for it, but it is a pretty creative way to do a different story that still ends up in a crisis, and the reason that the crisis is there is completely different than what the comic book was. So
okay, that's interesting. So Dan feels that he's not a special guest; he's just a connoisseur with extra time.
So say we all. Well, so says me all. So
I bought you time, Elaine. You didn't have to always show up, as you say. Evening, my lovelies.
Oh, there's Elaine. Hello,
just stopping by to say hi.
Was glad that you came to the Storms, all right, Elaine.
Yeah, that's her cover story to go fight Lycanthropes with Van Helsing.
Oh.
So she doesn't really have that. She just using that as the cover story. And everybody say sorry to hear that. It's like I had this before. Should be back on my feet in a day or so. So please don't worry. Of course. Of course, we understand when Van Helsing makes that call, you just have to go.
Hmm.
Hey, did you guys last week talk any about Boom Studios?
Yeah. I mentioned it in the
Did you?
Right.
news section. Yeah, and
I
this,
was surprised to hear that when I saw that last week.
yeah, and the fact that they're going to stick with Diamond
Hmm.
for now,
Yeah.
as far as the distribution. Yeah, it's kind of odd, but that's quite a bit of property that Penguin will be getting. Just running in a list of the things the last few years that Boom's come up with, that I'm like, okay, well that's, and I'm sure it goes back much further. I don't know all the stuff, but
Right.
so
Did you guys see Bob Newhart die today?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sad. A lot of
Yeah,
people have
well,
died lately.
yeah, and
But he was
I mean,
91, 92?
94, I think.
94?
94, yeah.
So he had a good full life, but
Yeah.
a lot of great characters and memories.
Mhm.
Somewhere when I was a kid, we had a LP of his, basically his phone, when he was doing the stuff on the phone. You'd only hear his side of the conversation, those kind of stand-up bits,
Mhm.
and just brilliant stuff.
So,
I
I'm
watched.
just looking at the chat here.
We
She
watched
said-
If last night.
Watch what?
Oh,
If.
Oh, what did you think?
I thought
yeah,
it was really
Imaginary
good.
Friend.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I haven't watched it yet because I didn't think I would enjoy it.
It's really cute. Yeah.
Again, I'm a purveyor of people not knowing certain details unless you want it out there. So
Mm.
that is like, I take that threat as far as that is concerned. Yeah, well, it's like, well, we'll worry if we want to. So there, yep. Newhart passed away. Yeah, that is very sad. Okay, if you promise, I believe it. It's like yes, I remember that. He did a routine. He did a routine about training CTA bus drivers.
Yeah. Speaking of Newhart, I'm always looking for obscure characters because we have the B-list booster thing,
Mhm.
and we're always looking for characters. I'm always, I may get their books and or at least a few of their books, and put them off to the side, just as this is a good prospect. And I didn't remember that when Newhart did that show called, was it just Bob? I think
It was just Bob, yeah.
with the comic book, was the comic book creator. In the first season, when they had all the different comic book insiders guest starring and stuff, I think it was Marvel that actually put out a Mad Dog comic book, and it was one of those flip books where on one side it was the Silver Age or Golden Age version that he had done, and then you flip it and it's, I think, the same story told from the point of view. It's sort of like Ahoy Comics is doing now with The Wrong Earth, where you got 1966 Dragonfly Man, and the other side you got the 1990s Dragonfly, the gritty urban vigilante. And it apparently was like that. It's a flip book, I believe. So I'm going to have to get a hold of some copies. Now I've got to do it. I thought that would be an interesting character to bring back and to talk about Ahoy's a little bit, because it's a chip off of the same iceberg. But now that the Bob Newhart has passed, it just be a good tribute to him.
I think that's one show a lot of people overlook and forget about. Now, I forget about it too, but I remember when it came out, I was super excited because it was going to be about a comic book artist. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
And then the second season,
for some reason, I don't remember that all that well, but I do remember Too Close for Comfort more so because of Cosmic Cow.
Oh yeah. I think they went for part of a second season, and remember he had worked for a greeting card company before, or maybe like after he fell out of the comic book industry, went to work for a greeting card company. He went back there, and the comic book thing was kind of, but there for a while they had like Todd McFarlane, I think, did a cameo or a guest starring role, a whole bunch of, I'm wanting to say Kirby may have showed up on there briefly, but I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and I haven't watched it in years, so I have to go back and see it. But
Well, they had a few issues of Mad Dog from Marvel.
yeah, it lasted a little while. They're not expensive. They're easy to get.
Might not be anymore.
Oh,
Well, yeah, that's true.
She said her headache is making it hard to focus, so she's going to walk and watch something in a comfy spot in bed.
Well, have a good week, Elaine. We'll see you next week, I hope.
Yeah, get feeling better.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'll probably look that back up here because I don't remember. I know of the series. I don't remember it all that well.
I didn't watch it at the time, but I watched it a few years later, somewhere in reruns.
Well, here I will share a cover to issue 4 I just found.
Okay.
Entire screen.
Stupid.
You okay? And that's
wasn't what I was expecting when I Googled that, but
that's the Silver Age version too. So
oh, Bob McKay, was that his name on the show?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's signed Bob McKay. Yeah.
Yep.
Woof. Well, I can't hear the name Daryl without thinking of Bob Newhart.
Well, yeah. Which one?
Yeah, that's why I'm about to get ready to say which one. I don't know. For some reason, I'm just still. It's like we just haven't heard too many tributes as of everything, but I know what they're trying to do up here. They're trying to get him a honorary street and all this other stuff. They're already putting in the plans and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Him being hit again. I wouldn't say that he's a native, but he lived enough time in the city per se.
Oak Park, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's from this neck of the woods. I wouldn't say he was born and raised in the city, but he was close enough where it's like.
We talked about this last week, Eric. I did a 3-day tribute to Shelley Duvall because of the, she did movies and stuff, but I'll always remember her redefining the fairy tales, the tall tales and legends, and then some that I had not seen, I had to go and watch them, were the Nightmare Classics, I think is what it's called, where she took like The Turning of the Screw. Carmilla, the Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. She did 4 episodes. The Eyes of the Panther, which was I've never heard of before, but it's a short story, kind of a Catwoman kind of a story. But
she did a movie. I haven't seen it, but it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was crowdfunded, and she came out of retirement to do it. It has Edward Furlong in it. I'd have to look up, see what the name of it was. I don't know if it's anywhere to view it unless you maybe buy it direct from the website that crowdfunded it. But it looked interesting. It was a horror. It had someone else in it. I can't remember who it is. Someone that used to be in horror movies. Might have been the girl from Cujo.
Oh,
I can't remember her name, but someone did an interview, was interviewing her about the movie, and I don't know what happened in her life, but it almost looked like she was homeless, living out of her car.
Shelley Duvall?
Yeah.
Well, she had advanced
Kubrick messed her up too.
Oh yeah.
That's what we said last week. That's the reason why I don't particularly make mention of The Shining, because Kubrick. You've watched the movie, you love the movie, but when you find out what Kubrick did to her to get those things, those reactions and everything. You're like,
But she
nah,
looked
dude.
really happy on the set of Popeye.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah,
And I love that movie. So many
Me
people
too.
hate it, but I love it.
I love it.
I mean,
And
I'll
was-
sing along with it and everything.
She was made to play Olive Oil.
Mhm.
She was just
Yeah.
made to be that, to play that
and
role.
you know, like in fairy tale theater and stuff, she would dress up like one of the characters. She was in a bunch of them, but she would also, like, to introduce them, she would dress up, and she was just playing and having fun, and that's the way I'll always remember her.
And I kind of forgot. I remember watching some of them, but I'd forgotten about that until I saw your posts about it.
They got big time talent. If you looked at some of those, you know, for the time, this is the mid to late 80s. They had everybody from Christopher Reeve to Robin Williams. I mean, they got some big names to come in and do those. James Earl Jones was the genie in the
Mhm.
Aladdin, the take on the 1001 Arabian Nights. So
The Forest Hills is the name of that movie.
okay.
And D. Wallace. I'm sorry, D. Wallace
Oh,
is one of
yeah,
the other people
yeah.
in it. Yeah, it was crowdfunded, but I don't know if it ever actually came out.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'd have to find out because I wanted to see it when I saw an interview with Shelley, and then I saw
Mhm.
Edward Furlong just looks like a train wreck anymore. But I did want to see it to see how it was, how little John Connor grew up, and now there are trailers out on YouTube for it, but I don't know if it
Mhm.
ever actually came out anywhere.
Hmm.
I couldn't find it anywhere to stream either when I was looking for last week.
Yep. Speaking of which, there she is.
There she is.
Everybody's greeting her. And how are you all? I am present.
I'm doing good. I got to watch all of the Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3 that we discussed. I was telling them a little bit about it, including the Kevin Conroy part that you mentioned. I also was telling them that overall, all three of them, but especially in this last part, their iterations they used of the Charlton characters, the Question, and
Beetle.
Blue Beetle, and Nightshade and Captain Atom, were all very much the Ditko versions, and it was refreshing to see those. And
Wow, Nutter butter. It's Nutter butter flavor. It tastes like a Nutter butter.
You could tell that he was impressed.
Hmm. But yeah, I really like the job that they did of making a completely different story from the comic books for all three crises, and it's different, but I really like the story, and I like the way they handled some of the characters like that, and some of the main characters that kind of constitute the Justice League Task Force are different than you see in most iterations of the team. So, yep.
I've liked most DC animation that I've seen,
Mhm.
with the exception of their movies. The movies, not so much, but when I get to the animation, I really love. I mean, Flashpoint was excellent. I love that one.
Mhm.
That's what really got me to watching the other ones. I started going back watching other ones, because I wasn't really impressed with the. Now, Marvel animation on TV was fine, but then when they were doing their just like DVD releases and stuff like that, some of them weren't that good.
I got one back in the day, and that was enough. I never got any more of them.
Yes, I will show them your picture.
All right.
All right. And who's the name of this one? I can't see because Olive.
Plant
Okay.
Girl. Olive the Plant Girl.
Nice.
And she's gone.
What's on the bottom? Is there a scene on the bottom too, or?
Oh, there's something on the bottom.
Yeah. That's a plant, it looks like.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Olive.
Or her
Olive-
transformed.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Could be
Yeah.
her transformed, yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
They like it. Thank you. I'll put a lock on my door. But with a little window to slide ice cream through.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just her wanting to play with Grandpa's friends. I'm like, why can't I play with Grandpa's friends for a minute?
She really likes to draw, so I hope she sticks with it.
Mhm.
So Eric, it dropped October 4th. The movie that you was talking about. It dropped October 4th.
Okay, because their website is like down.
Hmm.
But I can find it, I can find it like the YouTube stuff about it, behind the scenes and stuff. There's a YouTube couple I watch. They're I can't remember the name of them now, but they go around to different horror places and walk around and stuff. And they interviewed her, but they were also investors in the movie as well. They backed it for a big sum of money. I mean, I think they had some new videos where they gone over to London, were walking the streets where Jack the Ripper went and stuff. And they're the girl, his wife, the one guy. Try and tip my tongue. I can't remember the name of the channel. She's from St. Louis, so they come back here and do stuff. They were in the down below the catacombs of the Limp Brewery a few months ago.
Oh my!
Here in St. Louis, and they go all over the country and all over different places. It's pretty neat watching them. Now they're a little goofy, but I mean, he's a really skinny guy, long black hair, very pale, black fingernails. They all dress in black, but they're entertaining. I like watching them. They seem like really nice people too. But they'll do those like horror cons and stuff.
Yeah.
The Grim Life Collective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you remember it. So Parallax says, totally, especially the question started talking dickoisms.
Mm-hmm. The Grim Life. What did it call it again? The
Grim Life Collective.
Collective. Okay. All right.
I brought home a little package of Nutter Butters from Walmart the other day. So I gave her one. She was already in bed watching TV. I had to go to Walmart for something. I came up and I said, hey, I just felt like getting a couple of these. And she goes, oh, I love Nutter Butters. She goes, why are they round? I don't know. I said, does it taste right? She goes, but it's round. Because they're supposed to be shaped like the peanut.
Right.
But no, there was like 5 in a little sleeve, and that was it. So they were round. But it was so funny. Like,
So
they taste right, don't they? I just wanted one to dip in coffee and taste it.
So they made them like
just stuck on why is it round, because it's not the actual full big container. It's the little bitty snack pack. The snack packs are round.
Yeah, basically it's shaped like an Oreo. So
like one of those sandwich crackers
Cookies.
that they, or the peanut butter crackers that they do. But yeah, that would throw me too, because I've never seen them except peanut shaped. That's weird.
Yeah.
Harder to package that way in small.
Probably is. It is probably about the cost of that different shaped sleeve, because they had a little clear plastic sleeve underneath. Maybe they probably use it for every other cookie they make too.
Easier to just punch it out in a circle than change everything
To a
else.
peanut and try to figure out a way to put it, stack them horizontally. At least they can do vertically and keep the package as small as possible.
Well, Eric, now that you're done with your treat there, I gotta shame you. I'll wait till the pain passes and I'll inflict more. Now, I know that you have. Do you still have the meter in your arm?
No, I don't.
Okay. But you have you monitor your diabetes. I got my A1C test back on Friday, and it was 5.7.
That is amazing.
For a type 1, that is not
really
bad
good.
at all. Yeah. I was kind of shocked, because that's like 10 down from where I was. I mean, 10. Well, it was 6.5 last time.
Okay.
And it was, so it's 10 increments down that way. And I've been trying to eat healthier with Ginny, but it's not been a big push or anything. I haven't dropped a lot of weight or anything. It's just, I'm more active for summer, I guess, but
yeah, that usually helps. I I go for my next checkup at the end of August. I swear, trying to see a doctor anymore is nearly impossible.
Well, it's not as long as you got like half a year to wait before you go.
Well, when they just up and cancel your appointment the day you took off work to go to your appointment, it's like, okay, well, then they scheduled it they scheduled this one, but 5 months ago.
Thanks,
So
Carl.
hopefully they don't cancel again, because I will be out of Mount Metformin by the time I get there. Probably that morning I'll be taking the last one.
Yep. You got people congratulating and jealous of you.
No,
Thank
that
you.
is
Thank you.
awesome. I know when I first was diagnosed, mine was almost 12. And a year I got it down to 7, and it was I think 6.8 last time I was there.
And so
that's kind of where mine hovers.
Yours is your type 2, so
Type 2, yeah.
It's a kind of a different.
It's different. Yeah.
6 ranges of 6.5 or so as a benchmark is good. So good. And you can have some treats. I can't do that. You can.
I shouldn't. It'd probably get a lot better. But you're diabetic. Do you sometimes crave a sweet?
No, because
I do. It's my body craves it. It's
when I was younger,
yeah,
I did, but with me, because it has absolutely no way to take care of it except to try to inject yourself enough to. It just makes me miserable. For 5 minutes of this is good. You spend 2 or 3 days trying to.
Oh, no.
And during that time, it's like the cat jumps down onto the carpet and is walking across the room, and you're like, stop on your feet. What's wrong with you? And then 5 minutes later, you're like, I love my cat so much. It's so I hate having my emotions just be completely out of control like that. So,
wow, the bitty faces of Clyde if he actually has snacks.
my wife, Ginny, she was a professional cake decorator at Dairy Queen. When you had people come in with those special requests for ice cream cakes, she was the artiste. They sent her to Dairy Queen school to learn how to do that. And she was, she had, because of the icing, she had a grip strength that just, you didn't want to arm wrestle her because she would just pinch your hand too. Not to mention that she also built muscles up from doing all that, the pushing of the icings and stuff. But she did wonderful work. Nobody, people would come from miles around to go to that Dairy Queen because they liked the kind of cakes that she did. But the guy she worked for was I think he was type 2 diabetic. Got it later in life. The guy that owned the place, and he was just a nightmare because he was the kind of guy that would go dip his hand into the makings of their blizzards. If it was M&Ms, he'd get, every time he would walk past the M&M thing, he'd get a handful of M&Ms and eat them all day. He was that guy. He was that guy that was completely out of control, and he would cuss out his workers, and then 5 minutes later have him. It was like, I got a really special job, and I wouldn't trust it to anybody but you because you're my number one God. And he lost people. They couldn't keep good help. And Ginny was on nerve medicine by the time she got done working for them because it was, So I have seen the really, really bad, uncontrolled diabetics, and I don't want to be that guy. So
right.
And I know how it feels. I feel really, now that he's not inflicting harm on my wife all the time, I feel sorry for him because all he would have had to done was to control. He could have been like Sam on Cheers. I work around it, but I can't eat it. But no, he just made everybody's life a living hell.
Wow.
So I don't want to be that guy.
Well,
anyway,
it looks like Grant is here.
Hi, Grant.
Might want to be that guy, Grant.
I was talking last week, Grant. I don't know if you saw it or heard it. I was talking about your cryptid book. I think I put it
Right.
up. I really loved your first issue. That was I buy cryptid books from they're the Project Cryptid books. I think it's from Ahoy. They are very hit and miss. It's each one.
Oh, I read that one. Yeah, the one from Ahoy. That first one was like
Yeah.
It wasn't what I expected it to be. I was expecting better.
Sometimes they're really good.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 stories in each one, and sometimes they're
yeah.
good, but most of the time it's just too hit and miss. But the concept of your cryptid story, with it being a team of basically they're aliens that they don't look like humans, and they have different parts of the world that they protect as mankind evolves. And the Sasquatch is that's his race, kind of a Wookiee kind of a race, but it was just a wonderful concept, and I really, really enjoyed the first issue. So much more success to you, and make some more of that. Make some more of that cryptid stuff. It's really good.
So everybody is greeting him, and then Eric. Once you get older, you lose your sense of taste. Makes it easier. Maybe.
I don't know if I'm looking forward to that.
I love Evil Queen Clyde.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Thou
I
wert the
can still
fairest
take
one, 'tis
oh,
true.
I'm good.
Do what? Oh.
Speak for yourself, Wisman. Do I still have a great sense of taste? And then Mrs. Clyde was Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like, it's like I got my metal care card in the mail today, so I'm salty.
Salty. All right, Carl.
Oh wow, it's like thanks, Clyde. Will you give me a quote for the quick start for issue 2?
Sure, absolutely.
Ahoy sucks, but this one's good.
No, I mean there were a couple of them in Ahoy that I liked, but not enough to keep getting the series because you just don't know. But I love cryptid stuff, and this Grant, your stuff really did it for me. I thought that was a very brilliant concept and very well done. So
you got to get more of that cryptid stuff. Like
we drew cryptids on the show about a year ago, and I had explained to half of them what a cryptid was. How do you not know what a cryptid is?
Yep.
I think make more of that cryptid stuff. It's a cool quote.
You can find all kinds of cryptid stuff. It's finding good cryptid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge, I think. It's a used to, when I started looking up that kind of stuff, it was Charles Fort. It was the Fortean. They called it cryptid, but that wasn't the primary name for it. It was Fortean mysteries, including creatures. And then cryptids became the thing. But now you can find a lot of cryptid info, but like the Bigfoot hunts and stuff on television, my wife likes those, and I watch some of them with her, but I just can't get into it because if they ever find anything, it's over, so
it's like watching what's the island,
Oak Island Mystery.
I was so fascinated with that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I got excited about the show, and I just can't stand that show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're never going to find anything.
Because if they do, it's over.
There wouldn't be a show. We went to a Bigfoot museum down in Ellijay, Georgia. I think it was Ellijay. It was right in that area there. We were visiting her aunt and uncle. And in one of the display cases, they have a Bigfoot feces.
Okay.
It's just a giant turd about this big. It's a Bigfoot feces. It was pretty comical, but there was some interesting stuff in there. But that would just crack me up. Did you watch him do it?
How do you know it's his? Yeah, that's the thing you want to know. How do you know it's his? Carl got his official "I'm old" card.
Carl!
About his Medicare card. Wow. Careful there, Leia. I get mine in 3 years. I got mine 3 years ago because I'm older than Winsman, dude. See, Donna admits she's a cougar. Oh, my head's about to get swelled. Yeah, I can see that. Y'all need to teach me how to be old since my geriatric ward is since you're my geriatric ward. I'm turning 30 on Sunday. Yeah, just be happy that you just now officially is considered ancient by anybody under the age of 20.
The guy that I used to want to be when I got older, he was in our gaming group, and he was 20 years older than me, and he painted miniatures. He played role play games, did computer games, read all kinds of comic books. He had a vast collection from back. He'd worked as a grocery store clerk for like I want to say 30, maybe 40 years. So when they had comic books back there, he would have first pick at everything off of the rack, and he got just about everything. So he's got some very, very nice collectible comics because that was back in the 60s during Marvel's big time. So but I wanted to be that guy when I was, so best thing you can do is to find somebody you like their style and try to be like that guy as you get older. I have failed in several, he's much better at games than I am and stuff, but and I'm not artistic enough, but we both write, and I've kind of gone farther in my writing than he has, so I feel accomplished in that way at least. So, but
I want to be like Hugh
rack. He
Hefner.
doesn't.
I'm sorry.
Plus you have a spinner rack, and he doesn't.
I wanted to be like Hugh Hefner. It just didn't turn out.
Yeah, he doesn't now. He's got, I have spin racks of comics, but he's got a whole basement with long boxes that are full. Yeah. I'm sure it's more like a Joe situation for him. All the years he's collected, and as much as he's got, it would, he probably has a storage unit outside the house now, because I'm talking about his collection as it was 20 years ago. So, but
I thought I came up with this idea a couple of years ago, but I just never went through with it. I thought it would be a cool idea to have a storage building for comic collectors.
Yeah. Kind of like a vault.
Yeah. I thought that would be so cool. We could have like a lobby with a reading area, and they can go to their little storage area, come back out if they wanted to. I thought it'd be pretty neat, and be a comic store, of course, too. So,
a
little bit of a comic book store, and then you have an area where you have all your heat presses and your humidity chambers where you could, work out all the kinks and stuff out of your older books and everything. And if you make a deposit, you bring new books in, and it's like, hey, this could use a press. The equipment is there for a nominal fee.
Oh yeah.
Or if you have a life or a type of membership, where you're storing it for long periods of time. I'm talking about a monthly period, months at a time. If you're doing that, you have free reign over that type of equipment.
Yeah. If you build it, they will come. They'll be happy just to turn over money. I have to go a couple minutes early today because of the topic. So,
okay. What is the topic?
So the topic is
Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh.
But Chester, our host, is picking our class and race.
Oh.
So I think he was going to make me a bard. He joked about that a couple weeks ago. What kind of bard? I don't know.
This is revenge for your musical interlude, isn't it?
Yeah. He enjoyed that. Just a lot of the artists didn't. I got to get on and see what I'm going to be drawing.
Well, share it with us later, please.
Now? It looks like we got another update.
Oh.
That looks like a blank piece of paper, honey.
There's milk everywhere.
There's milk everywhere. What does that mean?
Downstairs.
Why is there milk everywhere downstairs? Did Nana drop the milk?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, apparently I'm going downstairs to check on milk.
Oh.
All right. Then I'm getting on a drug show. So I will do you guys like I always do what it was.
Okay. Okay.
It should be fun because everybody's going to be surprised what they get to draw. Because I told him weeks ago that he needed to be prepared. You're going to pick the classes and you're going to pick everybody's character and tell them what they're going to draw.
Nice.
So
Nice.
he has a gaming night every Tuesday night. He streams as well, where he hosts and or he's the DM and all that. So
Okay.
so
Yeah,
I'll
but-
see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But you gave me an idea here, Eric.
Yeah, you go
when,
open
when I launched the Primetime Saturday Night role playing game, we should play that here.
Oh, we should. Yeah, definitely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
And I just remember it's like we're close to it. I just haven't pulled the trigger of getting like the ISBN numbers and all the other stuff ready.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be
it.
great. Cool. Yeah, I look forward to that. All right. Adios, amigos.
All right.
All right.
Who knew that Bigfoot liked Subway? Yeah.
Sounds more like Taco
Yeah.
Bell, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Makes sense to me, Dan. Yep. And when I grow up, I want to be like Clyde.
Well, there
See,
you go.
that's a worthwhile goal. Be like the elder statesman.
Yeah, you're aiming low, but I'll go with it. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh, so I guess with that in mind, I guess we could go into reviews here. So we're back at the same predicament for me. How angry do you want me to get?
Well, now you were like,
I got the worst out the way.
okay, that's what I thought.
What happened with Tom King and that series? It's just like,
and you didn't melt the microphones last week, so we'll be fine. Whichever
Yeah.
you want to do, or you could throw it out there for people to choose again.
yeah,
wanna
that's
hold
what
up.
that's what I'm doing. It's like
Okay.
we could do it on anger level from like 1 to 4.
Mhm.
4 being that I'm going to have a complete meltdown, and 1 is going to be like, hey, I'm a happy I'm a happy camper type deal. Just to be mindful, there is not a true number 4 in tonight's lineup of books here that I could review.
Okay.
That happened last week
Right.
with the Tom King series.
Yeah.
And notice I'm not even naming the name of the comic book series. I'm just saying what happened with Tom King.
Mhm.
If you know how I've been feeling about how he's been writing a certain book that I collect religiously, you probably understand why.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Let's see, what was that here? Yeah, Lil says Cheerio on Snobby Joe. Level 3. Okay, so they're saying level 3. So y'all pick it. You picking so far. Well, what about everybody else? Dan, Donna, Carl, what you got? What do you guys say? Because it seems like the little ones are picking level 3.
Are you showing the books again? I don't remember what.
Oh, you want me to show the books
Yeah.
here? Because
Yeah.
I have not assigned the numbers. The books does not correspond to what anger level I will
Okay.
be at here. So
Okay.
let me
Amazon's
go
a
ahead and
tag.
show the books here. We
Okay.
have possibility depending on what anger level you want me at. We have Amazon's Attack number 6, which is the last issue of that particular series. We have She-Hulk number 9, which is the second to last, I believe, for this run. I believe this run is only going 10 issues here. And we got Uncle Scrooge and the Infinite Dime.
Mhm.
So we got those here. Those are the 3 that's in question. But depending on how much of an anger level you want me to be at, depends on which one I review.
Well, while they decide,
And
I
Dan
did-
was saying it's my choice.
I saw where
Oh, somebody thinking Uncle Scrooge. Okay. Sorry, I was reading my Metal Care card, but I say Uncle Scrooge. Oh no, it is a tied ball game if I count Lils and Beanie as 2 separate individuals. They're saying level 3. Oh, there's the third one. So let's go into it here.
Okay.
Since everybody's picking Uncle Scrooge, my anger level is officially at anger level 1. I was quite happy with this book.
Mhm.
This book I actually quite enjoyed because it gave me the aspect of what would have happened in the long run if the events happen in a certain way. So tonight's review is Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime. Now, this book had many different stories here. It had two separate stories here. I'm going to talk about the older story first because that one to me is what really got me going here, and it was dealing with Donald Duck number 178. And I believe this is the first time that Uncle Scrooge was ever really talked about in Walt Disney comic book history, if I'm correct here. And this is a reprint of the Christmas on Bear Mountain. And on Bear Mountain, there's land that Uncle Scrooge owns, and pretty much, it's getting around Christmas time, and Uncle Scrooge is like, hey, let me have some fun and this, that, and the other. So he sends a telegram to Donald to say, hey, if you can have you can have use of my cabin up there at Bear Mountain and everything. It's like, I'm going to give them a good scare. We're going to have some good fun and scare them half to death and this, that, and the other. So he sends a letter to Donald and everything, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie goes up there, and everything is so decked out and decadent for them to enjoy a nice Christmas at Bear Mountain and whatnot. And he's up there. It's like, yeah, I'm about to prove how worthless my uncle, that my nephew is, and this, that, and the other, how weak of a duck he is, and blah 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 blah. So the ruse is that Scrooge is going to put on this bear costume and scare the mess out of Donald to prove that how he is not worthy to be kind of like his, to be a part of the family and whatnot. But unbeknownst to Scrooge and everything, while all this stuff is going on, there was an actual bear. Well, actually, I should say they cut down a tree and everything for firewood and everything, and the tree that they cut down actually housed a bear. Actually, a bear cub. So now we got the bear cub up in the house, and nobody knows it. They just think it's like, it's just like a regular stuffed teddy bear, just that and the other, along with the toys and everything. So everything is going around and this, that, and the other. The cub is, goes back into the tree. He's enjoying everything that's in the house and everything. And he's, grabbing food, storing it, trying to pack the stuff away and everything until Huey, Dewey, and Louie found out that there was a cub and everything. And then after the cub, was siphoning food, that's when they found out that Mama Bear was still in the tree. So one thing leads to another, and they had this whole adventure. They had to deal with the bear and everything, and eventually, Mama Bear and the cub overate, and they're up here. They fall asleep in this, that, and the other. So the baby bear comes back, and it was like, hey man, after them. It's like, so they chasing Huey, Dewey, and Louie chasing the baby bear, but Donald sees the bigger bear and just faints and falls out right next to him. While that happens, Uncle Scrooge comes in with the bear suit, about to get ready to do his thing, and then he sees the little bitty cubs, and he jumps behind the couch. It's like, okay, what's really going on here? It's like, I don't understand what's going on. And then he comes around, and then he sees Donald right next to the bigger bear, just sleeping all nice and neatly. He's like, wow, I don't believe it. My nephew has got to be the bravest duck in the world. He's sitting there without any fear with this whole bear just laughing next to him like it's nothing. So after it's all said and done, Uncle Scrooge has a change of heart, and he enjoys the rest of the Christmas holidays with Uncle Donald and everything. And then he's like, here's a bearskin rug for your troubles, and he shows it to him, and Donald faints, and it's like, and he doesn't get it. It's like, huh. He was like, he couldn't figure out why he fainted. He's like, he's supposed to be like the bravest duck that he ever knows, and it's just like it just baffled him. He's like, it just baffles Scrooge, and that's how it ends here. But that's the older book here. Everybody wants to know what's going on with this whole thing about the Infinity Knife, the beginning story here. The beginning story is a good tale because it starts off about what if Scrooge never had anybody in his life. It was like, what if there was a version of Scrooge that didn't have anybody that was there, and all he had was just his money bin and just himself. So he's going through the money bin and everything, and this one thing all of a sudden whirls around and everything. He sees a reflection, and in the reflection, he sees the dime that's around his neck, his number one dime, and it reaches out for it, and instead of the reflection grabbing his dime, he grabs the reflection's dime, and now he has two of them. And he thought about it. It's like, well, if I could have all the riches in this world, what if I could have all the riches in all parallel worlds? I could be the richest duck in the multiverse. Because again, he has nobody else. It's just him. So we're going from, dimension to dimension, going from money bin to money bin. And all of a sudden, it's just like out of nowhere, you have the Beagle Boys trying to break into Scrooge's money bin, and then the vortex opens up. And while the Beagle Boys are trying to break into the money bin to take Scrooge's all of Scrooge's money, you have the lonely Scrooge coming in, stealing the dime. And he keeps doing that across many different dimensions and everything. So he gets Gyro Gear loose to figure out a way to kind of like jump from dimension to dimension to track down this one Scrooge who is stealing all these dimes. So they eventually figure out a way to create portals and everything, and they just go pretty much from dimension to dimension trying to track down that one Scrooge. And eventually, when they finally kind of track him down, they notice that this one Scrooge not only gets the number one dime, but he actually got all the other money bins too. So now you got the Beagle Boys, you got all these different Beagle Boys there trying to help the one Scrooge, and then you got our Scrooge, the one that we know and love, with all different versions of him fighting, the Beagle Boys and the one rogue Scrooge that's trying to steal all the number one dimes and everything. So it pretty much is a good story about how throughout all the different adventures and throughout all the different generations and all the different variations of Uncle Scrooge, all the Scrooges had family, and family was always stronger than his love for his number one dime. And that this one Scrooge never had that, and it took the whole lesson of the time was having that one Scrooge that never had anything to realize that it really came back down to family, and family was more important in everything than the actual money itself. So eventually eventually our Scrooge convinced the one that didn't have anything that was the right way to go. And then at the very end, he became a part of the whole Scrooge army and turned everything around and turned things on the Beagle Boys. And pretty much they had one big celebration where all the families of different Scrooges get together at the very end for one infinite family reunion, which is, to me, it's a good heartfelt story in the long run. I think a lot of people wouldn't. I think a lot of people would kind of poo poo this because it got kind of long in the tooth in the middle of it when they started all the fighting. They did get kind of long in the tooth as far as trying to figure out who's really doing what and everything. And then all of a sudden you have all these different Scrooges on one side and the one with the Beagle Boys on the other. It didn't flow as well as it could be, but the overall story was good enough where you kind of took it for what it was worth. So on that note, I would give Scrooge and the Infinite Dime pretty much an 8 out of 10 on that aspect for the original story that they told. And then the older story is nothing more than a reprint. and that's good. That's a classic. So I'm not going to give that a score. But overall, 8 out of 10 for the actual story for Scrooge and the Infinite Dime.
Nice.
And now I know you read this here because you
Mhm.
said that for you it was kind of hard to really get what was going on.
No, I got what was going on. I said it was hard for me to fork out the cover price.
Oh,
It was a little bit. I mean, it was good.
Mhm.
It seemed to me it could have been a couple of dollars cheaper, but the reprint of that classic tale, you don't find that just everywhere. So,
Mhm.
it's just a judgment call. But I did like it. I thought it was very clever and nicely, the multiverse kind of an angle to a classic character, and then the classic story where they, um nephew Donald and Uncle Scrooge had their first
Mhm.
encounter. Um, I liked all of it. I just thought it could have been a couple dollars cheaper. But on the other hand, it's a Disney product, so they got to make just like anything else. If you get, if you get a jar of peanut butter and it's regular peanut butter, it costs X. If you get a jar of peanut butter and it's got a Disney character on it, it's X plus because Disney. So I mean, I get
Well,
it, but
it's a couple of things that went into that. It's a jar of peanut butter, plus it had Disney characters on it, plus it's super economy size because
yeah,
this is technically by most standard terms at
hmm
least a double to a king size issue page
true.
wise.
That's true. Yeah, yep, yep.
So yeah, that most people probably did not pay attention to the page count in this. This is a bigger book than normal.
hmm
So that's another reason why $7.99 was the price here.
hmm
And see, oh good, we don't get Angry Joe. It's like we don't want. Yeah, yeah. That I enjoyed that book. That was a nice surprise here. I was actually, was thinking that this was not going to be as good as what it was. So that's the reason why it's like, oh, this was a nice surprise. This is why this is, at level 1 here.
hmm
And then very good. Yep. I convinced you because of the old reprint. Yep. That
hmm
I needed to read that old reprint again. The regular size bookies are, $4.99, so double would be $7.99. Yeah.
Yeah. Eh.
Yeah, but I get it. I mean, it's still I look at it as like it's kind of hard to believe that this is a Marvel
True. And I'm looking at it because I got it.
book.
I read it, and I'm like, this is going to be a good thing to give the grandkids when they get just a little older and they can read it themselves. Asmund could already do it, but Lily, give her a couple more years to be able to read it. They'll really like that book.
Hmm.
So it's a buy that will keep on giving. So I will give it that. I'll get $7.99 use out of it.
Exactly.
Yep, yep, yep.
And then she said it's like I convinced Clyde and was like, oh, it's $8 because it's to have the first ever Scrooge, and he was like, oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, yep. Well, I have never read the first Scrooge, so yeah, I wanted to read that.
And Donna actually had the original Donald Duck book. My
Ooh.
comic disappeared after I moved
Oh,
out, and the folks moved to town. Yep. So she had the original Donald
had
Duck
the
book.
real one. Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Mm.
That's interesting, in the bigger scheme of things. But I was pleasantly surprised with that one.
Mhm.
Once I read it, I was like, it made me nice. It gave me nice warm feelings.
And it did, yeah. It does. It definitely has that effect. I know I had no qualms with the story or the quality. It was quite good. Um, so yeah, it was a very pleasant read. And also I read it after I've been reading a lot of the apocalypse, the dystopian kind of stuff that I've been reading lately. So yeah, it was a nice change of pace for that. So, would have been a good holiday book. That could have been a good,
That I would have felt that it would have been best if it did came out around Thanksgiving or something to
mhm.
that matter or
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah, yep,
I
yep,
think it
yep,
would have
yep.
had a better effect. It's like everybody would have been in a nice holiday spirit, and the fact that the whole ending was dealing with family. It's like family is stronger than what most people give to it.
But if you have looked at any news lately, maybe we needed it for this summer more than later on. So
Yeah, Mhm. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And in that way, it could be well worth the cover price to make somebody smile because that's not as easy right now for a lot of folks as it is most of the time. So,
Considering the fact of what's going on here, and I'm tired. Tired. Well, at least I'm tired of news cycles here
mhm,
because we got what's going on just about like an hour and a half north of us, and
mhm.
then in about 2.5 weeks, yeah, 3 weeks, we got round two of the same type of politicalness right
Mhm.
here in
Right
this
here,
actual city
right in
itself.
hometown. Yes,
Yes.
I know. I've been thinking about you. Uh, um, oh, I was going to tell you.
But
Um, we talked last week about the absolute.
mhm,
And if you weren't with us last week, basically, people for years have been telling DC you should do your version of an ultimate, where ultimates where like Marvel did, you can have iconic characters without all the baggage of 60 years of continuity. Um, you know, a separate reality or somewhat joined, but not the regular everyday reality of your characters, but have that where they're younger and they're just starting out in a different focus on them, just like the Ultimates were for Marvel. And they've tried a couple of times, and then Dan Didio had an idea for it. They fired or he quit or they fired him before he got to
before
get
you
it
got to
up.
G5, yeah, before you got to
Yeah,
G5.
yeah, G5. So they used some of the ideas that they were going to seed into it, used them in some other storylines and stuff. But now they're doing this big event for the summer, Absolute Power, and in the aftermath of that, um, and at San Diego Comics Con, they're talking about it this week. In the aftermath of that, it looks like they're going to have their absolutes titles, which sound like they're probably aiming for the same sort of thing that the Ultimates did. And this is the little blurb that came down today. Um, DC announced DC All In, a new initiative launching in October that will create a jumping on point for new readers and introduce the absolute DC universe. DC All in One Special Number One comes out the first week in October. Um, a new iteration of Dark Side will, or a new iteration of Darkseid still is, and he strikes while Superman rallies other superheroes to stave off the onslaught. That leads into other new iterations of the DC Trinity. Those titles are going to have you're going to have Absolute Batman, and Scott Snyder and Nick Dragata are going to be helming the creative team for that, and they will be joined um, with the Absolute Universe's version of Wonder Woman, written by Kelly Thompson, drawn by Hayden Sherman.
Oh,
That
that got legs.
okay, okay.
I think Kelly Thompson is doing Birds of Prey right now.
Yeah, yeah. I have no problem with the creative team and the cover.
Mhm.
She had covers. Cover looks really good for hers. The Batman and Superman covers are. I don't know. I'll have to read it. I don't know about them. Especially the Batman looks wonky, but the Absolute Wonder Woman cover looked really good. Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval then are going to be on Absolute Superman. That comes out in November.
Mhm.
So that's the creative. Those are what looks like to be the creative teams for the three, because I think they're just starting off with the Trinity. They had like a split cover thing that had the
Mhm.
Trinity that we know, and then the Trinity as they present them. Superman looks quite a bit different. Batman looks really different. He has spikes on his bat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's strange, but Superman has red gloves up to like here, or parts of his costume. I
That's
know,
just weird.
and one eye is covered. He's got like this big swoop of hair that comes down, and
Mhm.
it's just odd looking. But Wonder Woman looks
So,
different, but still very
so
cool. She's on a
Mr.
horseback. Hmm?
So Mr. Morrow is saying that sounds like it stinks. It should start with a new case of Chemical Syndicate or some Paradise Island stuff.
Hmm.
So talking about the absolute power.
Mm.
But the
Hmm.
thing that making me worry about the absolute universe that they're planning
Mm-hmm.
is I'm more worried about how Absolute Power is actually handling Amanda Waller
Mm-hmm.
more so. And to me, a lot of the stuff that they did in Dawn of DC
Mm-hmm.
should have automatically just jump started just started
Mm.
the absolute universe, because to me what they did in Dawn of DC for a lot of these titles, and the fact that no metahumans could be trusted, should be the jumping off point for absolute
Mm.
for the absolute universe, more so than what we know as canon. But I could be
Mm.
wrong in that. But Jarvis comments made me think about that. It's like how much I did not care too much for a lot of the revamping of what they did in Dawn of DC,
Mm-hmm.
at least for the first couple of issues of all the newer titles. It's just like, why is there so much distrust with heroes, and especially metahumans, in this particular universe of DC?
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be interesting, because technically, if they're setting up Absolute Power as Amanda Waller pretty much declaring war on metahumans,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be interesting. But I
Yeah.
still would like to have a resolution about what actually was the was the end all be all with Battle for Earth 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Me
Because
too.
that
But
Amanda Waller has the crime syndicate working
mm-hmm.
for her.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting if Earth 2 Amanda Waller comes back with crime syndicate in Earth 2. That would have been interesting, but
See, I thought
that
that might
storyline
be.
died.
I thought that might be what they were going to bring. It's sort of like they were sort of forgetting about that, but that they might bring that in the midst of it. They may still. I don't know, but I keep meaning to go back and look to see whatever happened to that, or if it played out or not. But I keep forgetting to do it, so I don't know. But
I mean, how they got rid of Ultraman was just unique.
mm-hmm.
And with Ultraman kind of sort of being in a weird Phantom Zone type reality,
Mm-hmm.
she is in control of Crime Syndicate.
But like
But
in that Absolute Power prequel with the Suicide Squad that she put together, they're not mentioning that at all. So I don't know.
yeah, they kept it to current day, what's
Mm-hmm.
going on right now. And I'm surprised that after that mission was successful, what I saw so far in previews of Absolute Power, it doesn't look good for a lot of the main heroes.
Nope.
Like the Trinity, it doesn't look good for the Trinity. It does not look good for, known bigger names in the DC universe as far as heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Because who would have thought that they would set Superman up like the way that they did?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I could just see I still picture Superman's face from the panels that I read where he realized he was bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Yep, this is the type of writing that I would enjoy."
Mm-hmm.
I kept telling people there's ways to stop Superman without having to resort to certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and this one, the way that they did it is like, yeah, it's cliche, but I guess I could run with it.
mm.
Yeah. People wanted an Ultimates type ages ago, but not after they did 4 reboots and relaunches the entire line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, why it's like, to me, like I said, Dawn of DC to me was kind of like the beginnings of what they want for our Ultimates.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never gave us a reason why people mistrust metahumans after New 52. They never gave us a reason to say, hey, we hate superheroes now. It's like, well, why the universe did that after New 52?
If they had a writer with enough gumption, they would just put a thing in where, just like, it could be just one page or just a few panels, where
Mhm.
they hold up a copy of The Boys and like, we read this. This is not happening here. We're taking steps.
Mhm. It's just
Uh,
funny because it's like you had New 52 and Rebirth, and none of them really, directly correspond to why did DC Earth have that paradigm shift.
mhm.
What happened? I was like, to me, I would be bringing up all these different tragedies and whatnot. But then again, I also look at, hey, they gave Tom King the right to do his so-called Dark Knight Returns for Wonder Woman, and the first thing that I saw is like, you put these Amazons in a position where they're doing the right thing according to lore, but you're perverting the perception because the opposition is the one that's in the wrong,
Mhm.
but you're glorifying that. That doesn't make any sense to
Mhm.
me. It doesn't make any sense. It's like every scenario that you showed in that series up to this point, it was like, well, why is this going on? Why is the world topsy-turvy at this point? Give me a reason.
Mhm.
This kind of gave me a little bit better of an understanding, but it's still not there. It's still
Mhm.
not there because that only deals with only one faction. Birds of Prey gave me a better understanding of it too,
Mhm.
but it becomes now like, well, why does popular opinion change all of a sudden? We don't know what's going on media related wise as a whole, and why media is driving that change in what is considered a hero and what is not.
Mhm.
See, I pick up those subtle things in other titles
Right.
outside the main Trinity titles.
Mhm.
That's why I wanted to read Green Arrow. I forgot to buy Green Arrow.
Hmm.
Because Green Arrow at one time was considered a traitor
Mhm.
in the Dawn of DC issues.
In Absolute Power, he's in a role that is unaccustomed. He not normally
Mhm.
his role in it is one that he doesn't normally occupy either.
See, Leia is saying it's like, you know what DC needs? Like a year with no event. Exactly.
Oh yeah, let's do that. I like that
Yeah,
idea.
they could do that easily.
Yep.
Easily do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
With the way some of these titles are going, they could easily do that. Easily and write these stories because they got so much some of the storylines got so many different legs that
Mhm.
it could go on for a year without having any other special events.
Mhm.
Do your own line of comics with stories in that period. Yep, I agree.
Mhm. Mhm.
The whole having three events running concurrently is not working, obviously. Yeah, but again, you got marketing execs that may not look at or understand that too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Notice I didn't use my favorite word. But I was
Yeah.
like, I said marketing execs. I did not use my favorite word, but that's just
Mhm.
the way that it is.
Mhm.
But Clyde, I believe you got some books that you want to bring up here.
I do. I do.
Um,
Okay, so first of all, everybody I know, like Brian. Oh, before we get to this though, Brian Rodman.
mhm.
Go back to the split screen there,
Okay, all right,
please,
now
Cheryl.
wrong.
Okay, Brian Rodman. Where's he at on his Kickstarter? I know he
Oh
hit
yeah,
some goals.
I keep forgetting about that. But then again, he's supposed to be here. But
Well,
I understand. I understand. I
he had some
understand
health
why he's
issues
not here.
today, so yeah, 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 yeah.
I understand why he's not here, but it's just more along the lines. It's like when we have a brother in arms that is, if when we have to worry about, how can I'm trying to find the right words here, when we have to worry about health as well as projects all at the same time, it gets kind of confusing.
True, true.
I know he's doing okay because
Hmm.
he was on Between Two Bryants last week, so
Hmm.
I was able to see that here. And he is officially, come on, share the screen.
Hmm.
Share the screen. Share the screen. Yes, allow it. Share the screen. He is at $6,399 with 126 backers, which is excellent. 126 backers, 4 days left to
4
go
days to go.
on this current campaign for
Mhm.
the actual prose version of Memoirs of an Angel, the Grim Pilgrim.
The Great Pilgrim. Yep. Okay, cool. 4 days left.
Yep, 4 days left. And he got the one thing that I shake an angry fist at. He got a project we love.
I
That's an
saw
honor
that.
within itself. Yeah, that's an
Yep.
honor within itself. That is
Yeah.
hard to get. That is
It's not
actually
easy.
literally hard to get.
I was going to ask Eric about that, but I hate to because Eric has wanted that for a long time, and I don't think he's ever managed it yet. And so it's
I
kind of
haven't never managed it either, but
right.
I'm
Right.
happy that he got it. I'm
Yeah.
actually I want to give him a standing ovation here, but I do shake an angry fist at it because I
We
understand
do both.
how
We do an
yeah.
angry fist and a
But I
clap.
understand how that goes. I understand how that come about here with
Mhm.
projects we love. My feelings of projects we love is that it's everybody's project is not on equal footing to get it.
Right.
That there is an intrinsic bias to it
Mm.
as far as who gets it and who doesn't.
Mhm.
But the fact that Brian was able to get one, I do have to go like,
Mhm.
good
Mhm.
on you.
Mhm.
Because it's not easy to get. It's not easy to get, and I
Apparently
do
not.
know of other projects that did not deserve to get it, but they got it. So,
Right. So Brian, yours is deserving. So
mhm.
congratulations on that.
Yep.
Yep. And if you haven't, if you want to check out Brian's work, I mean, there's some goals here that I I think it was
I
maybe
think the next stretch goal is at $101. I believe it's at 6,500.
oh yeah.
I can't. It's like one of the things that I kind of wish is like we had like things that we could. Yeah, 6,500,
Yeah.
and that's the map, the poster map.
Yeah.
$101, if
Mhm.
my math is correct.
Sounds right. Cool.
Yep, $101.
So check it out if you
$101, you
guys.
get a free map poster of how the world actually is. So it's the
Mhm.
map of the world of Memoirs of an Angel.
Mhm. Okay. Well,
Oh,
I just wanted to update
and
that.
since we're talking about Kickstarter, and I'm
Mhm.
not certain if Parallax was here,
Mhm.
um, Eric did say that he's probably going to he's in the
Yes.
process of mailing those Zombie Full Adventures #2 off
Number
here
2.
soon.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
So I just brought that up because we're talking about Kickstarters and whatnot.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Okay. So one of the things, having a good local comic shop, um, they set this aside for me because they like me and I love them, and they they know I love Universal Monsters. This is probably, I mean, it may be available now for wide distribution, but I think this was a preview thing for it. So I'm thinking probably October. You're looking at Universal Monsters, the official coloring book. So yes, it is approved by Universal Studios and it's from Insight Productions. Um, but they graciously gave me one of these so I could promote it and look it over, and it's very cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an interesting Phantom of the Opera.
And of course, they have a little bit of everything here.
Oh,
Dracula.
Bride of Dracula.
And
And you could tell that this is more of an adult coloring book.
it's definitely an adult coloring book. Not like it's adult content, but just, it would be maybe some tweens could do a good job with
Mhm.
coloring it, but it's not for children. It's more for big colorists. Oh yeah. Look at this.
And you got Donna's approval on this. It's like, ooh, I like that coloring book.
Yeah.
I watch almost all of the Universal monster movies. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I just oh yeah, we even got I mean this is stuff right from the movies, right from the movie
Mhm.
scenes. So so yeah, as much as I love monsters,
Nicely rendered too.
yes, yes, very nicely done. Creature.
Oh, that's a good creature.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, this is definitely worth looking up and laying claim to if you have a chance. If you especially if you like the color. I want to see some of these all filled in and colored nicely.
See,
So
that looked like it could be a wallpaper.
yeah,
That last one that you showed, the
yeah,
2 page.
definitely. But yeah, so Universal Monsters, this it's very nicely made. It's pretty thick. I think it's about a $15 cover price, so not bad.
And to think, as
So
a kid, we used to complain about $3.99 for a coloring book.
yeah, I'm usually more pages, but not as nicely rendered as those. So
Mhm.
okay, so my best books this week that I read. Um, you know my love-hate relationship with Archie Comics because
Well, with
they put
Archie
out some
horror
stuff.
more so than Archie comics.
Yeah, it just no, it goes beyond just the horror stuff. They do one shots with a lot of their red circle type characters that are fun, and I've really enjoyed those. But some of the other things, and yes, a lot of them are horror, but some of them are just other focuses, um, and they're just weak. They're terribly, terribly weak sometimes. And you never know, and that's the problem. I kind of got to pick and choose because there's some of them I've thrown some of them, and I don't normally throw
Mhm.
the books, but those have been a couple that
I
I
still
have.
remember the
So
one that you shred. That's the topper.
that was bad. So so yeah, I have a reason. I have reasons for, but when they come out with these one shots, they can do a good job. And this one is not. It isn't horror necessarily. It's more like suspense,
Okay.
and it's called Truth or Dare, and it's a very well written little story.
Hmm.
You have a new character who comes into uh, Riverdale from many, 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 many foster homes. I think 6 over the course of her life, and she has decided that she will be making the calls regarding her fate, who she can associate with, and she stages a shut-in where different people from that we know from the Archie series are forced to make a choice between truth or dare. With her vying for a position, basically she's cracking into their, it's like everybody's got their clicks, everybody's got their just like every place she's ever been, she's getting in
Mhm.
and she's going to force her way in by manipulation and putting them to this truth or dare thing. So it's brainy, it's well written. I think I don't see anything in it that would make it where a younger person could not. It's teen plus, so yeah, tweens and teens would probably really enjoy this. But it deals with some some fairly uh, complex and deep teenage emotions, and it's really nicely done. So I wouldn't call it horror; it's more suspense. But I was impressed. I read the synopsis and I thought I wasn't going to get it, and then I saw that cover is a good seller. Um, so yeah, picked it up, and you that's the thing. When Archie is on target and doing good work, they do really good work, and when they're not on target, it's bad. I mean,
Historically
ye-
bad.
bad. So this is a good one. If you're looking for an Archie read that is interesting, that one will do. So we had the fourth issue of Redcoat,
Okay.
and this is part of Ghost World, or I'm sorry, Ghost Machine, which is Geiger, all those Junkyard Joe, and all those.
Mhm.
And this one is a lot. It has a real feel about American history that we've been taught, and kind of a Constantine sort of vibe about it. It's very irreverent, not in a not always necessarily in a funny way. It calls into question a lot of the things that we hold true as Americans. And um regarding things like the founding fathers and stuff. And so I think that's a very ripe field to plow into, to cultivate. Um, I'm not feeling, and this is an anti-hero kind of guy. He's not a good guy at all. So I'm kind of wondering. So, you know, they're casting shade on some of the backgrounds of America that normally don't get shade cast on them. They are holding up a hero who's not, or a protagonist that's not a hero. So I'm kind of wondering where we're going. What's attractive about this?
Mhm.
There are some side characters who are cool. Albert Einstein shows up in this issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's a kid, little kid, and he's cool. He hides stuff in his hair because it's so wild. You know, little things like that are cute.
Right.
I'm just not really sure where they're going with it, and I'm not. Um, I'm liking it. I like all of the I'm liking all the Ghost Machine stuff. This one, and I like stories about immortals. So I thought, since this guy Redcoat is an immortal, I thought I would like it more than I have so far. But it's still good. It's still a good read. Um, it's much deeper than I expected it to be. So, but not a bad read. Okay, now we get into the weird stuff. Dark Horse's Paranoid Garden. So, if you like the things that used to come out of DC from Sandman and stuff like this, you probably would get a charge out of this. It's a hospital where you have supernatural creatures, superheroes, all kinds of weird things like you would find in Beetlejuice running around. And this poor woman is a healthcare professional that is tasked with being a nurse there. We don't really know why in the first issue. It's just interesting to meet all these weird characters and see what they're going through. Um, Here's an example. The hero is a Superman
Right.
knockoff kind of guy. They bring him in and he's laser beaming everything
I
with his
just
eyes.
realized diecast cover too.
Yep, diecast cover. And then that they have a cheaper edition. I didn't get it when I had a chance, so I ended up with getting the more expensive one. Because this would cost a little bit more. But it was worth it. It was a good read. It's very interesting. I don't know where we're going to go with it, but you know, when the doctor that's in charge of your hospital looks like that, and he's
Oh,
got a class, it shows a class of all like simian graduates and you know possible cures and monkey toys and he's got like a shrine set up there to pray in front of. You know, you're on a weird ride, but I like weird rides sometimes. So this is
but
interesting.
that's the other thing. It looks like
Mhm.
1920s, 1930s
Mhm.
version of
Oh,
a cartoon like
well, and I
monkey
think
or
it is
toy.
collectible stuff.
Yeah.
Where did the cult of this creature come up? I don't know.
Mhm.
That's what I want to find out. It's got enough stuff that you go, what the heck? And now I want to know. You know, I want to know more.
And
So
Jar was saying it sounds like a shakeup. I could it's like I could use some night nurse shenanigans. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was a really interesting read. Now, I hope that they answer some questions. I hope it doesn't just keep going on and piling more mysteries upon mysteries. But they get enough set up in the first issue. I think they will. I think they'll start parsing through it and examining it and explaining some things. But I mean, you don't get much more out there than that. And if
mhm.
if you like if you miss the Vertigo titles, I think this could be a lot of it reminds me kind of like Doom Patrol. So I think that it has that vibe about it. I could be wrong. It may not progress that way, but that's the way it starts off at least.
Okay, so
So
that might
Mhm.
have my interest enough. If it is Doom Patrol, like it might grab my
Well,
interest, but it doesn't seem like it.
it does have superheroes, but you don't have like a team of them, at least not in the first issue. You have all the weird kind of creatures in this. Imagine a hospital built somewhere between Nightbreed and um, the boys and um, oh the oh the puzzle box.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, the Hellraiser universe, kind of in the convergence of those three things right there. Rocketeer Breaks Free #1. This is the third time IDW has put out a book on the Rocketeer, written by Stephen Mooney. And his first series was these are always miniseries. The first one was The Great Race, which had some really good concepts and had plot holes big enough to fly through. It was great art and it was kind of fun, but I didn't think it was that well written. And he's written some things. He's written some things that are pulpish. He's written some Betty Page stuff for Dynamite. So he's definitely in his zone here. But that first one was in 2022. It was kind of rough. I can't say I enjoyed that one a whole lot, but I'm a Rocketeer fan, so okay. The second one he did last year in 2023, in the Den of Thieves, Rocketeer and the Den of Thieves was better and really cool. It answered a lot of questions that the movie and the series up to now have brought up, never addressed, like those flying Nazi commandos. Did that just go by the wayside, or did they continue to work on that? And it was better. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely a step forward. So now we get the first issue of Rocketeer Breaks Free. This might be the best thing that I have read since the days of Dave Stevens, and it continues some of the better parts of the movie and some of the Dave Stevens stuff. And I really like the artwork. It's by Staz Johnson, and he's done a lot of work for different companies. But I read this first electronically. And I wanted to get a copy, a hard copy, because electronically I kept looking at it going, this guy's got his own style, but it's very Stevens-like in how he's got the composition and the layouts and things, I think. Let's see here. Yeah.
Yeah, now I can see what the influence. And I'm not a big Dave Stevens fan, to be quite honest. I can see the influence there.
Yeah. I thought it was at least a nice homage, trying to make it look. And Peavy plays a big part in it. We get some daring do that. I don't want not all my Rocketeer stuff has to have flying Nazi commandos, secret plans, and the works. I mean, it can be like Down Home. The Rocketeer can do other things besides just fight enemy agents all the time. And this definitely gets into that possibility for him, this first issue especially, but some other artwork, some other of the alternate covers. But this is IDW, and yeah, I'll be getting this series. And again, Mooney's first story was okay. Second one was pretty good. This one I think is going to be excellent because it starts off, it just jumps right into the action at the beginning. It's very pulp. It's true to its pulp origins, more so than the other things. So, my favorite read this week though was Destro #2.
Don't ruin it yet. I won't ruin it for you yet.
But it's very nicely written, and it shows two different factions who are working against each other. You can't really consider either faction to be good guys. They're competitors. One has a lot of equipment, one has a lot of manpower, and they're trying to figure out how to outthink the other one. And it's like a parallel book of the two sides conjecturing. So the writing is very, very fun. Now, again, Joe and Eric, they're really, really good about knowing their G.I. Joe. So I'm coming from more of a standpoint of just a comic book reader enjoying a book about some of the enemies of Joe's. It doesn't fly in the face of what I know about them, but I don't know as much as they do. So, casual fan, it works for me. I don't know. I'll be very anxious to hear what Joe has to say about it, but I like the way it was. The writing, like I said, is all paralleled. The artwork in many ways is paralleled. And it was a very unique way of presenting how two sides that are competing against each other are still working toward a common goal. They just, they have no illusions about if they turn their back on the other, they'll end up with a knife stuck in it. And
Hmm.
they can work with that. It's really well done. But my review this week is a Dark Horse book. This is a continuation of the World of Minor Threats. That is a look at B-level villains. And it was first. They've had two miniseries about it, establishing the world. Patton Oswalt and Jordan Blum have been the main writing focus behind it, and I've enjoyed that series. So Kyle Starks has had his hat in the ring, but this one he's the primary plotter on. I'm a Kyle Starks fan. I really like his approach, and this just got me from the solicits. It's called Barfly #1.
I can't remember which character from Minor Threats was Barfly.
I don't know that he was in the Minor Threats. Some of these other characters definitely were that are in the foreground, but
Right.
he's so unremarkable and also difficult to deal with as compared to others. He's so minor that I don't think he would qualify as a minor threat.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so good. And this is why Kyle Starks is completely in his element in writing this character. We start off with this poor humanoid housefly coming into the bar, and he's going, "I need a double." He can't
Hmm.
speak. He cannot speak. So he has to, she's like, "I had a rough day," and he's got two fingers up. "Oh, you need a double? Okay." Um, and of course, we got, it's a villain bar, so you got to have bigger villains coming in to roust out you know, the B-listers that they don't think should be there, or in this case, probably the Z-listers.
Yeah, the D, the F, the
Mhm,
J listers.
mhm. Now, Barfly is the result of an experiment done by a villain um, who uses he he gene splices and um, kind of like the high evolutionary. He takes insects. I think he's called the ornithologist. He takes insects and he um, turns them into humanoids or creatures that he can use, monsters that he can use
Mhm.
to affect his stuff, or henchmen, which is what Barfly is. But here is one of the other experiments that is now in the zoo.
Wow.
I know. And there's Barfly coming to visit him because who else is going to besides people just come in to look at him
In horror.
in horror? Yeah. Um, Barfly works at a Mick job. This is the only work he can get right now. Here he is, all covered with bandages because he got beat up and he's
Mhm.
reporting in for work. And so he has a lot of things in common with many readers. It's work that is
Mhm.
not very satisfying, people that pick on him all the time. His boss, um, would have been, he went to the J. Jonah Jameson School of Employer um, Management, employee management. And he would have thought that Jameson had some good ideas, but he didn't go far enough with them. Because this is the way the boss looks. He's a walking, talking poor excuse for a human being. So all these things, are against Barfly. But then, top it all off, if he were to go and do crime, he's got these superheroes to contend with that are obviously way more powerful than he is. And then at the end, things change for him a little bit. So I don't want to give away the ending or anything, but the review
Mhm.
is Barfly #1. So they credit Patton Oswalt and Jordan Blum for writers, but Kyle Starks, they have him written as the main scripter. And I think that is absolutely true because this is different than Minor Threats. Um, and it's very much a Kyle Starks kind of story. The art is by Ryan Brown. The colors are by Ryan Brown and also Kevin Nipstein. The letters are done by Nate Picos of Blambot. and it's a Dark Horse comic. Um, let me see here. It's got a cover price of $4.99. This is the first issue. So, in the pecking order of supervillainy, who resides beneath even the lowly henches? Well, try an anthropomorphic housefly with an expletive deleted code name, a mute to humans, a former hench whose evil overlord is permanently incarcerated. Yeah, this is a guy that even the minions of the mighty monarch could look down on. But in the hands of primary scripter Kyle Starks, I never doubted that we would have deep pangs of empathy for the downtrodden protagonist in Barfly. And the first issue, that faith was completely rewarded. It's a Stark specialty and one that I first encountered in his excellent Six Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton miniseries. He manages, just like he did in the Sidekicks series, he manages humor, even using and maybe because of the over-the-top horrific human beings making the life of this former hench, now grill cook, a nightmare. The boss at his McJob, the bullying supervillain who frequents the bar that he does, and even his partners in a low-level thievery ring take every opportunity to chip away at what passes for his self-esteem. But they're offset by his friends in this issue. That's another Stark's trademark. He presents special individuals who faithfully stand beside those that the world deems unpopular, unappealing, unwanted. And in the first issue, we witnessed that brand of loyalty from a bartender, a feline-laden landlady. And when I say feline-laden, I mean she's got felines that just drape themselves over her. It's great. It's great Stark's funny writing. And also the kindred anthropomorphic spirit making that local zoo his home. He's also friends with Barfly. And through their perspective, we see that beneath that insectoid exterior and lack of raw strength lies a loyal, loving, and even artistic soul. And we also see that our hero uses the eclectic housefly-based powers that he has. And these are not like the kind of things that, it's not like having spider powers. These are minor powers, but he uses them very cleverly. In this mostly character-driven study, we find that there's a lot to like about the unfortunately named Eater.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, his name's not Barfly. It's Eater. And his intro definitely ends up with a development spurring us to catch up with him again next month. Barfly is, as I said, a spin-off title from the universe of Minor Threats. And if you want to know just the basics of what Minor Threats is, it's a B-level supervillain strata of a place called Twilight City. And it's an exploration of the personal lives of these B-level villains. And along with their triumphs, both modest and amazing. And it's a great set of titles, one that's perfect for this slice of Kyle Stark's goodness. In the other Minor Threat books, the art has been handled by Scott Hepburn. And his style lends the right tone for villainy, reflecting Silver Age sensibility worn down by, hard knocks and countless harder defeats. Barfly has this artist, Ryan Brown, 8 Billion Genies and Curse Words, making a similar mark. And once again, I think he captures that Starkverse spirit very winningly, flitting between its everyday on steroids and outrageous villainy and low places sensibilities. Brown's panels are flypaper repositories of emoting and action. Appropriately, you may feel both the need for a strong hand sanitizer after you do a read-through, but I'm betting that you will then go for a second read-through to laugh and empathize with Eater all over again. After that second read-through, you could find yourself secretly hoping that our downtrodden former hench will somehow, some way, come out on top before the series ends. Maybe with the bonus of exacting a few pounds of revenge flesh along the way. Because in the greater scheme of things, very few of us have the Mount Everest of obstacles to overcome that this flyman faces. And if he can reach the summit with his anthropoid adhesion and a little help from his friends, that means that there's hope for everybody. So for making us believe that a genetically advanced housefly can't fly, but can still be pretty amazing, Barfly number 1 earns 8.5 Brundleflies out of 10.
That's a very, very, very good review there.
Thank you.
I'm actually quite convinced of maybe thinking about getting that one, but then again, I still have to finish reading Minor Threats, just like I have to finish reading Junkyard Joe. Now, getting back to one of your comments here, you read both Duke and you read both Cobra Commander. Which one did you like more?
I have enjoyed how they've handled their villains better so far.
So you're like me, because I enjoyed Cobra Commander a lot better than Duke. Duke to me had problems. It had too many problems, but then again, there's too much lore dealing with Duke that's already out there that made me kind of like be like iffy. But Cobra Commander and the way that they explain Cobra Law, which I know Eric does not like Cobra
That was a
Law.
downside for me, but I actually got over it. So yeah. I'm liking the villains, and Destro is no exception. I'm reading Scarlet. I like Scarlet, but I'm not seeing the quality in the scripting, at least, in it yet that I'm seeing in Destro in 2 issues. So this my own personal take as a casual fan of G.I. Joe stuff, but yeah. Yep.
No, I'm glad that they're doing it this way, because you're getting a bigger expose or a bigger history dealing with particular characters that are mainstays. So I wouldn't be surprised after Destro if they did Baroness and they probably did somebody like Roadblock or Shipwreck or Snake Eyes. I
applaud them that they haven't jumped in with both feet immediately on doing Snake Eyes or some of the other, if you're going to go for the popular characters, you would start probably with him, and there are others that you might think are ahead of the ones that they're doing, but they didn't do that. They decided to flesh out some other people first, and I can respect that choice too. So
especially on the Joe side, I can respect their choices on the Joe side. I'm glad that they didn't go right back to a Snake Eyes. Because some of the characters that I would like for newer readers to know about before getting really deep into G.I. Joe would have been Scarlet, would have been Stalker, would have been some of the mainstays, the ones that have been there from day one that not too many people know about.
Yeah. I love it when they take, main companies too, DC, Marvel, the big ones, when they take some of those side characters that are interesting but never carry their own weight or have their own series. I love it when they do a good job of fleshing those characters out. So yeah, I'm not saying that the ones that they're focusing on are minor characters. I knew all of them. I've heard of all of them, so they're not too minor. But it's sort of like, let's make an X-Men book and not put Wolverine in it right at the start.
Well, what? They did that way long ago. But then again, it's like it would be like, okay, what if we brought back Mimic and fleshed Mimic to be really more like Morph? What Morph really, what eventually Morph became into, because again, Mimic and Morph were 2 different characters. Mimic was the prototype, Morph was the final product for the cartoon series.
Yeah, that would be. So yeah, I like that. I like that element of it.
It would be nice if they did, a mini series dealing with him. Or what was the character that everybody loved from Age of Apocalypse? They do like a Blink mini series. Everybody loved Blink. I'm up here, it's like, meh. She's an okay character. I went, meh.
Yeah.
Everybody's loved her. I was like, yeah, if they did a good miniseries where she could be just as popular as Wolverine. Or who was Pennis now would be another character that I would think maybe needs her own miniseries. And I bring her up because I know her as M. She was introduced to us as M. She eventually became Pennis and part of the Uncanny Avengers and everything. So,
and there have been series of X-Men that haven't had Wolverine, but But
Mhm.
I'm sure that the tendency is to work one of the major characters in as quickly as they possibly can, or have it centered around one of them. Um, Whoever's selling big, and it's probably most of the time going to be Wolverine. Um, but when they avoid that, I mean, it can be dicey. They can have a failure on their hands, but I applaud them for at least trying to develop some other characters besides the ones we see all the time and know so well. So,
So, that's kind of like the way that I was looking at it. I was like, I'm glad that you're enjoying the G. Well, I know that you don't read the main G.I. Joe books, but at least you're loving the character books more
mhm.
so than anything else.
Let's give me the background. I need to, I think, appreciate the. I figure I'll get those in trade and read them, but this is filling in blanks about. It'll mean something more when Destro shows up now,
Hmm.
in the regular titles. So, yeah, yep, yep,
It makes me wonder if they're going to eventually cover about the whole meaning of why why he had the Iron Grenadiers.
yeah.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going back to Marvel GI Joe, and when
Mhm.
again when he like I said, two different factions. When he went against Commander,
Mm-hmm.
he had his own army, which was the Iron Grenadiers,
Mm-hmm.
and why the Iron Grenadiers came into existence, and why Cobra splintered when he did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like how it is now in the main series that Cobra is kind of splintered between Commander's faction and Serpentor's faction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way villain groups should work. It should be, it's that none of you are, none of you are here just, out of, most of them aren't there out of ideals. They're vying for power
Mm-hmm.
to different levels and influence. So, yeah, they're all playing the chess game of rising up to the as high in the leadership as they can without being killed for their ambition. So when you write that well, it's fascinating reading.
And considering the fact that Destro was a character that really wasn't about power.
The whole idea of his the legacy of his family name and their business, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not a good guy, but you can definitely respect his approach on taking pride in their work. It's the kind of work that a lot of us would go, ooh, weapons manufacturer, ooh, but it's hard not to appreciate somebody that takes their work seriously and tries to do it very well. And yeah, he checks off all those boxes from what I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. Again, and GI Joe is full of interesting characters when they break it down.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that they're going that at least Skybound is going that way to break those characters down, and by doing that, they're bringing new readers into the GI Joe lore. Yep. I'm just saying it's like another super review, Clyde.
Oh, thank you,
And
Carl.
Clyde makes me want every book he reviews. It's evil Clyde.
Oh, it's my job. I'm supposed to, and I do I try to go with the ones that I really like. And I, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again, even though on weeks when there's not a lot of titles come out and um, they're not the top of the things top of the line things I was looking forward to. We have a lot of quality stuff that's coming out. It's hard to have a week where you just find, it happens every once in a while where you go, ooh, I didn't have many and I didn't care too much for the ones I did, but overall, compared to times in the past, this is pretty salad days, guys. That we talk about the industry and the problems the industry has, but as far as output, if you go looking for some things that are different, you'll find it, and in a good,
Mhm.
not different in a good way too. Not just. I was going to ask you, Joe,
Go
because
ahead.
this would be your era a bit more than mine, but I knew about it. It's one of those things that bit me this week. Have you ever had a show or something, a comic maybe that You were aware of it, but it didn't really seem your cup of tea. People talked well about it, but not your thing. And so you knew about it for years, and then finally you sat down and you got a book or you watched a show, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is great! How did I miss this?" Have you ever?
Several times
Okay,
over.
okay. Um,
Several times over. I mean, I look at it from this standpoint. It's like it could just be the format that is brought to you in.
mhm. Yeah, true, true.
And
Well,
the first one that came to my mind was Saga. I was like, I gave it a chance.
mhm,
Outside of what could have been a very compelling story,
mhm.
the random sex fest that's in there just threw me off.
For what was it?
Saga.
Oh, Saga. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Saga did that to me.
Mhm,
Now, the one that made me go back and reread it and be like, had that, oh my goodness, why did I not pay attention to it the first time around?
mhm.
Would have been Sex Criminals. That book
Okay.
that book did that to me.
Mhm,
Because at first I was like, yeah, this is meh. Then I go back, it's like, oh, I should have been in this mindset when I read this, as opposed
mhm.
to, okay, read issue one, it's like,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
and I have a sticky suspicion that maybe if somebody explained to me what I'm missing in it
Mhm.
is Something Killing the Children and House of Slaughter.
Ah, there you go.
Because those books to me are definitely not my cup of tea, because to me it's wash, rinse, or repeat.
Mhm,
And to me, the overall story about the clans is not deep enough for
mhm.
me to keep my attention,
Right.
especially for books, at least with Something's Killing the Children, for the mystery to be about what is actually, possessing these children.
Mhm,
And you're not dealing with that story. You're dealing more with the clans and how the
mm,
clans are dealing with, that the interweavings of who's investigating what.
mhm.
That kind of threw me off. And I went back to, I got, a reprint of issue number one. I went back to read issue number one. And after I read issue number one, I was like, yeah, I see why I don't pick up this book. It's
Mhm,
just not for me.
mhm.
But maybe if they do a TV series, I might enjoy it a bit better, because
I'd be
something's just
interested.
not there that explaining why, for it to be a horror book. It's not
Yeah.
horror to me. It's something else. It's not even a thriller. It's just almost like, I want to say it's the wannabe Games of Thrones
Yeah,
with
I can see
with the
that. Yeah.
whole aspect of demon possession in the
Mhm.
middle of it. That's
Demons,
what
not
me.
dragons.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it's almost like demonic possession instead of dragons and stuff to that
Mhm,
magnitude.
mhm,
Because again, I got House of Slaughter number one, and I'm afraid to read that because I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm going to have the same reaction. I'm going to read it
mm,
and be like, this does not make any sense to me.
mhm. Yep, yep.
It's like it's going to give me all this stuff about, the main character that doesn't move a story along.
Well, let me throw this one at you
Mhm.
because this hit me this week, and I don't normally have that very often. Of something came out and I overlooked it, and you know, that's happened before, but it's usually a really minor thing. And then I go back and appreciate it, or maybe something that I saw and didn't care for at the time, but then later on, when I got a little older, I appreciated it. This is one that made a major impact across several fields of interest, and I just kind of just ignored it. Have you ever read any Xenozoic tales from Kitchen Kitchen Sink Press?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Have you ever heard the title Cadillacs and Dinosaurs?
Yes.
Okay. Have you read any of those?
No.
Okay.
But again,
Um,
I watched the TV series, played
mhm.
the video game. I'm
Okay.
aware of the characters. I know
Mhm.
of the characters. I just have not read the source material.
Okay. Well, I remember selling copies of Xenozoic Tales when I worked at the comic book shop in the 90s. I think I leafed through a few of them and I thought, why do we have Cadillacs alongside dinosaurs? And futuristic looking Cadillacs with like Art Deco futurist stuff on it. It didn't make any sense to me. Um, but John Pica, he does the Saturday the
Back of the cereal box.
back of the cereal box shows on Saturdays, and he
Mhm.
put up one as like perhaps the most underrated cartoon of all time, and
Mhm.
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. And I'm like, they did have a cartoon about that. I've forgotten about
Mhm.
that. So I started watching the cartoon. 13. It was only 13 episodes, but this is a very smart, pulpish Edgar Rice Burroughs for the 1990s, 80s and 90s. Kind of a smart story, and um, it talks about the environment the way Captain Planet did, but doesn't hit you over the head with it.
Mhm.
It's just part of the futurist world. But I would compare it with Thundar the Barbarian as far as being, quality writing of sci-fi after the apocalypse kind of storytelling, but with a real pulp. The Cadillacs and Dinosaurs has a real pulp feel to it. And then I found out, oh, they had a game of it. Didn't know that.
Yeah, Capcom
They made lunchboxes of it,
made a run
and
made
and
a
Sega.
beat 'em up game.
They had a Capcom and they had a Sega game too.
Mhm.
They had a arcade game.
Mhm.
I found the arcade version. They made a role play game.
That I forgot about too. I forgot about the role playing game.
Traveler. They did the Traveler 2000 system from GDW.
Mhm.
They took those rules and they made a supplement for Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. So it's not this Saturday, but the next Saturday they're going to feature it on Back of the Cereal Box. So I'm gonna tune in. I'm hoping to get all the episodes watched before then, but it's one of those things that I didn't know that it had that many different venues. And they had a toy line too.
Mhm.
They
I
had
knew
action
about the tow
figures
line.
and they had the main character's Cadillac, and they had some of the other vehicles and some of the big dinosaurs and stuff. So, but anyway, I just was curious as to if that was one that you had watched as when you were younger.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yep,
it was very short lived. A very short lived
yep.
TV show. I
CBS,
remember
13
seeing
episodes,
at
one
least
season.
3 to 5 episodes of that.
Hmm.
I played the crap out of the
Hmm.
Capcom arcade game of Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Hmm. I like that in the episodes I've seen so far, they didn't sugarcoat or they weren't writing down to kids in it. There was,
Mm.
it would take something on the ball to kind of keep up with what was going on. And they're not like too adult or anything, not like in a bad way, but they're just
Mm.
mature. It's a mature
Mhm.
outlook, and I love the fact that it's got its own lingo, just like the old Tarzan books used to have. You have to learn what their lingo is to understand what they're talking about. It just takes a lot of takes something going on. You just don't sit there and just let it wash over you. You have to get involved with it. And I love that kind of pulpish fun. So
And it took the source material. It did its source material very well because they kept a
mhm,
lot of the science behind
they
it.
did. They did, yeah.
It wasn't just, oh, it's like, all these dudes, going around having to deal with dinosaurs and the villain of the week. It was science. It was like you had this,
Mhm,
we had all these major scientists who were is forced to use, Cadillac cars and keep the Cadillac cars built up and everything to deal with the enemies who are trying to use the dinosaurs as
mhm,
possible weapons
mhm,
to force another evolution.
mhm,
And it was just like, wow, this is a lot deeper than what I thought. So that's why I said I never read the comic book series, because if I read
mhm,
the comic book series, I kind of felt like the cartoon series would throw me off.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, I probably would not like the comic book series because it's not the cartoon.
Right. And they said that they were very careful to take the parts that were appropriate for young readers and to put into the cartoon, but they did leave a lot of things out from the comics that would be more of an adult nature. The
Mhm,
artwork, Mark Schultz was I think the main creator and an ad exec.
mhm,
Did this in his spare time. um, but his art, oh my gosh, it's a very Dave Stevens kind of. It's very pulpish in a good
mhm,
way. It's very, very makes you think of um, some of the Hal Foster stylings and Dave Stevens stylings, except it's not quite as I don't know. I like I've seen Dave Stevens do some like Jungle Girl stuff and things like that. I like this guy's style on the jungle aspect, and the main character was pretty, but the main character, main female character of this series was pretty and all, but she's very capable. I mean, it's not like she's um just eye candy. She's
And
really,
that what made Xenozoid Tales interesting, because Hannah, her background was, if I remember correctly, geology more
Mhm.
so than anything.
Yep.
The Capcom game gave me a lot of insight of what I was missing in the cartoon series, because
Right.
they used a lot of the imagery from the Xenozoid Tales comic books.
Mhm.
So a lot of the villains that was in the comic books was in the video game, which I
Yeah.
didn't get to see in the TV series.
Mhm. Yeah.
And what made me understand the series more is that each of the main protagonists had their own specialty. Like Hannah was a scientist, and I think it was one other scientist that was in that main grouping. You had a mechanic, and that's the reason why they always dealt with vehicles like Cadillacs and stuff, because he was an auto mechanic. That was
Right.
his specialty.
He was a guild, but it was a guild, and they were also responsible for bringing back technology, but also balancing it against the good of nature and
Mm-hmm.
all of it living together in harmony. That's what their guild is dedicated to. It's a
And
really cool
and
idea.
all of them were, and all of them had, eventually, as the story goes along, they could all handle themselves in the field. Hannah was not the damsel in distress. She was
Right.
a geologist that, if given a pistol, she could outshoot
Mhm.
just about anybody.
It reminded me
She
a
wasn't
lot
the
of
best
the
fighter, but when it comes to weaponry,
Mhm.
you don't want her to have a weapon in her hand.
It reminded me a lot in its in the few episodes that I've seen so far. Reminded me a lot of the vibe that the Mummy with Brendan Fraser had.
Hmm.
Evie is a librarian, but she's very smart and she's very capable. She's not as good a fighter as he is, maybe, but she definitely carries her weight in any party she's in. And the
Hmm.
same thing with Hannah in Jack's cool. Jack
Hmm.
has the guild and he's very dedicated. And I like the fact that a lot of the ones that they're fighting are lawbreakers and politicians. Yeah,
But
kind of
he
ahead of its
does.
time. But
And
yeah.
sometimes he does come off dumb as a box of rocks, though. That's what I don't like about Jack.
uh,
Jack, according to what I was told in the books, is a
mhm.
lot smarter than what they made in
Oh yeah,
the game and in the TV series.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, yeah, they're kind of, and for the time period, having bad guys that were not too bright, that works. I can see how that would be one of the things they would change for the cartoon, but I don't know. I was For it to have had so many venues. I mean, it's almost like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They had all the stuff that they did, except they didn't have a main big movie or anything, but
Mhm.
they had other avenues to make it part of the culture, and it just didn't seem to catch on like the other things did. And it's a shame because it's really good stuff.
Well, considering the fact that they did kind of blame Turtles for the fact that GI Joe couldn't survive
Mm,
because it got too old. It's like the themes and stuff got too old,
right.
and with the Turtles coming out, it's like it was the new it thing here. And I kind of felt with Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, it was a good it thing for the short period of time that it was.
Hmm.
Same thing if you remember with Robotech. Robotech was a good it
Hmm.
thing, and they had a few toys and everything, but it died quickly.
Right. Right. That's true. True. Well, Joe,
Yep. Oh,
we
we're
need
over the
to.
2 hour mark. I didn't realize that. Oh,
Well, we've had
2 hours,
fun
20
talking about
minutes.
it.
Yeah.
We are. I'm kind of wanting to hit the road this weekend and go do some traveling, but we got to get some stuff squared away tomorrow. So I need to get into bed and get some
And
rest.
yep. I kind of feel that here. Let's get these last comments here. So it's
Okay.
saying that Mike Jackson has made a small but powerful enemy. Uh-oh, something had happened on a shopping show. So that's
Uh-oh.
going to be part of my attention here after the show here.
Okay.
I must run, but thanks for the good episode night, everybody. You're very welcome here,
Oh,
Carl. Good show
bye,
later. Good to say
Donna.
later, Donna. Got to run, guys, and thanks for a great evening. Not a problem here.
Thanks.
Dan, I'm happy that you was able to take your night off of Stupid O'Clock to patronize our show.
Yeah, thanks for coming and visiting with us.
Beanie and Wheels just saw the covers for Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and now they want to play the arcade game. Yep, the Capcom arcade game. Yep, it's going to be cool for them to play that arcade game. I'm like, you already have the arcade game in your game box, silly girls. Yeah, exactly. Geriatric windbags.
We like to talk when we gum our oatmeal. It's okay.
All right, Clyde, it's time for us to do our end stick here.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. I am Clyde Hall, and I am a self-proclaimed or self-described, I guess, not proclaimed, but a described elder statesman of geekery. And if you look down here at the bottom of the screen, you can see my Amazon page. And it's got all the stuff that I write and the things that I do down there that have been published, usually by Stormgate Press. You can follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall, where we make at least one daily posting to try to improve your day. Sometimes we do nostalgic stuff. Today we did a thing on cereal spoons, the ones that came in cereal boxes or cereal box offers. Some that just had that were made to eat cereal, but were from the 1930s with characters like Charlie McCarthy. No, is that right? Yeah. The ventriloquist doll, and some of them that promoted different cereals. Some of them like Tony the Tiger spoons. Sometimes we look at different artworks, fine arts, and we have a day dedicated to weird museums, and we also have days of trippy art and trippy hobbies. So look me up on Facebook at Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall, and follow me there. You can also find me on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984. Again, that Amazon authors page is right down there. So if you want to see what I've been writing, you can check that out. I'm currently part of the online comic book review crew at comicsbeat.com, aka The Beat. They are really, really good as a source of information. They're all about the San Diego Comics Con this week and breaking the stories from there and doing interviews. But they talk about comics, the industry, the business of comics, the marketplace, the companies, the graphic arts impact on other media, and the creative talents making the comics that we love. So follow The Beat, www.comicsbeat.com. In my spare time, I write, as I said, mainly for Stormgate Press. Their newest short story anthology is The Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkland, Volume 2. Check it out and let me know what you think about my entry in that volume, The Archimedes Affair. Some of the other things, and Stormgate Press does a lot of new pulp, which is pulpish kind of stories written for a modern audience. They've done science fiction pulp with Major Marjorie, Tim Bruckner's character, several short stories here, with one of them being mine, about this retro future space heroine, Major Marjorie. We did Western pulps with the Spurs and Six Shooter, Tales of the Old West. I have one in there too. And look at the covers on these, if you would. These are both done by Jeffrey Hayes of Plasmafire Graphics. He has done some of the most wonderful covers for Stormgate Press. He did this for one of my Captain Hawkland stories, the Banshee Barnstormer. And for Brian K. Morris's book, The Terrors, he made that cover. As you can see, he knows how to make a book cover that will bring people to your table at shows and generate interest in all of games, books, whatever you put his art on will get the attention of people going by or scrolling through on a sales site. So he is amazing. Jeffrey Hayes is somebody that you need on your team. And it's not that hard to get him on your team. He's easy to work with. He's affordable. And if you want to know more about how you can get your next project allied with Plasmafire Graphics, Jeffrey can work his magic for you. And here's Joe to tell you how.
And that is as simple as looking at this quick little video here. and check it out for yourself to see if he fits your criteria of bringing in that crowd that you always been wanted to recover. So check this out.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Seen the covers firsthand, you can make up your decision here. You could go out there if you like what you see, give Jeffrey Hayes a quick little ring-a-ding-ding all here on the interwebs at plasmafiregraphics.com, or you could go out to his Facebook group at Plasmafire Graphics here. As far as myself, I will be here this Saturday for another episode for the Death of a Small Press Publisher. That will be shortly after my next Whatnot show here, where we're going to be doing dollar starts here. We're going to have have a little bit of a blowout sale for the actual stock of books that I have already here at the house. We're going to probably add a few more between now and the Saturday show here at 5 p.m. So be looking out for the final notification here coming up here on Saturday. I'll probably let you guys know about how soon we will go live and everything, and where we will be out on Whatnot. It's going to be right off of my profile up there on Whatnot. So we're going to do dollar starts on a lot of books here. So if you've seen some stuff from our past shows and everything, we're probably going to have them out there for a dollar start here. And you can pick up a whole bunch of books that you need for your collection or want for your collection, or just pick up a couple of things here in the bigger scheme of things here. But until then, live life, grow, and be well. And unlike Brian K. Morris, I don't care if you wash your hands. However, never apologize for being awesome. And we'll catch you here next time, right here for Comic Book Spectrum. Adios.